So I was about to record a video and then I realized that I hadn't written a script. And so the issue here is that normally I take 2, 3, sometimes 4 hours to do the research and write the script. And so that was before I figured out this solution, which I've been using AI quite a lot to do my research, write the script, and have it all prepared, within about an hour, often less. And so I'm going to show you the process on how to do that. But one thing you've got to keep in mind is that it's not just writing the script. We're actually going to make it optimized for audience retention so that your audience continues to stay interested in your video and you are able to get higher retention rates, get your audience to make it to the end of the video, and just get better results overall. So I'm going to show you how to do that with AI. I'm not going to use ChatGPT, even though it is good for a lot of things. I've got a better option for you. So I'm going to use Claude. Claude is a really powerful AI, and I'm using Claude 3.5 Sonnet. This is one of the best writing models out there right now. Who knows, maybe that's going to change in the future. Now, Claude has a really powerful system here where I can create projects. So in its project setting, which you'll find on the left, you will be able to set up a new project if you want to. I'm going to edit this one just to show you what is here. I've kept it very simple, kind of vague on purpose, just because the prompt or the structure may change. But let's just assume you have a documentary channel, whatever that is called. You can put that here. I'm going to call it documentary channel so that Claude has a bit of a better idea as to what it is. You can be more descriptive than this. That's totally fine. One thing that you want to do is give it a bit of a description and kind of give an example. And when you mention other channels, for example, Fern, Moon, Hoog, Neo, things like that, actually, there should also be, let me know, because I put that in the examples. So I put these in here, and what you're going to have to do is provide examples of what these writing styles are like, which I'll show you how to do. Because these channels, if you haven't, if you've been living under a rock, you'll know that these channels are really good and have been providing some really awesome videos, entertaining, valuable, things like that. Channels that you should look up to if you're in the documentary niche. So obviously the names of the channels are going to vary depending on what your niche is, what your channel is dedicated towards, lots of different factors. And so you want to find other competitors that are doing really, really well in your particular niche and use them as examples for Claude so that it knows, who to model their video off of, who they're writing for, the style, how your videos are supposed to be having good audience retention writing. And I'll show you what that all looks like, because it's one thing to script a video with AI that sounds like AI. It's another thing to actually write using AI and make it sound like a human, but also understand audience psychology so that you can get your audience further down the video, because you want to make them your audience get past the first 30 seconds of your video for YouTube to really consider your video to satisfy your audience. And so I'm going to show you some techniques on how to do that. Now, I've mentioned these, Moon, Hoog, Lemino, Neo, Fern, they're all over here. So these are really good channels to kind of look at when it comes to documentary content. Now, here's what I do. You first got to set up the project knowledge before you actually work on your script. And so the foundation is going to be super key. What you give AI, it's going to give back. So the more information that is tailored to what you want to do, the better. So the better prompt you give, the better response it's going to give. So now you have the project knowledge base over here. You can, set project instructions, and this is obviously an optional thing. You can give it the writing style, you can give it lots of different things. I'm going to show you like a few other ways, so I'm not going to actually use this, but what I'm going to do is click add content to the knowledge base here. So you can choose to upload, connect to Google Drive, you can just paste content. What I'm going to do is just call this Fern. We call it Fern example. It's just going to be a transcript. So what I'm going to do is go to Fern's YouTube channel, and I'm going to click on their videos and go to the popular. I'm going to skip this one just because this one's a lot shorter. I want to actually look for a good storytelling video. And so, some of these are really good, but I might actually talk about the hijacked plane one or reference it. So I'm going to go ahead and click on it.
At 9:27 a.m. on the 24th.
So make sure you watch the video like I've just done, and what you want to do is make sure that it has interesting storytelling. It keeps you interested in the video. Ultimately, you've got to resonate with it, because if it's a video that just got a lot of views for some other reason aside from the storytelling aspect, then it may not be as good of an example to provide Claude. So what I'm going to do is I'll use an extension NextLev. If you use the coupon Frost20, you'll get 20% off. But what I'm going to do is it's going to give me the transcript, and I'm just going to copy the transcript. Then what I'm going to do is paste the transcript in this phone example here. And you can see that it's in here, and it's got the transcript. And that's kind of what I'm going to present or provide here as the phone example transcript. Now, I'm going to click add. It's added that to the knowledge base, and I'm going to repeat the process for Neo. So find a popular video. I'm going to, let's just say click on this one. Then again, I'm going to copy the transcript, copy transcript, and then I'm going to go ahead and add the content here. I'm going to paste text. So this is Neo. And then I'm going to paste that in there just like I did with Fern. I'm going to repeat this process for a couple scripts just to give Claude an idea of some options as to how it can write the script and get an idea of the style that these channels use in order to keep your attention, make it interesting, tell good stories, things like that. All right, so I've added some transcripts of examples of channels that I really love and enjoy. Then I find that the scripts are also written really well, and it's got good storytelling. Now you can see I've only taken up 11% of the storage here. I don't even know if this is a premium feature of Claude, because I use it premium 100%. It's worth it. It lets you get better responses, longer responses, have more features. But you can see I can add a lot of information. And this was, I think, a 30-minute script. Okay, it was 17. I think the moon one was about 30 minutes of script. And so there's a ton of content that you can add here. You can add more, maybe more rules of some do's and don'ts. So you can, title this rules or whatever, and you can add more information, whatever you want to keep it within bounds. Maybe one thing that you want to say is, don't don't limit responses to just content that is provided in the project knowledge. So that's up here in this project knowledge base. I want you to look outwardly for information to help to help improve the quality of the video scripts. So you can add that. Maybe one other thing you could do is do like about. This should really kind of be in the description of the channel here, but you can do it here. It's totally fine. You can kind of give a bit of context as to why and what you're doing with these scripts, so that Claude has a better idea as to what the target is for this, so that it can help optimize the script for that format. So I've kept it super simple. Video documentary channel for YouTube is about many different topics that are of interest to my audience. You could keep it super simple. I'm not going to get too complicated right now during the video, but be as specific as you can while keeping it relatively simple, because you want to be able to give Claude a little bit of freedom in order to write some of these scripts. Now, before we even get started, I know this is like the foundation is super key, and I want to make sure that you get these right. You can choose your styles, so create and edit styles. What I'm going to do is just create a style, and this is where writing styles come in handy a lot. So for Let Me Know, this script is a really great example. With the NextLev extension, I can actually copy the script, and it's going to beautify the script here to make it, it takes the transcript and turns it into essentially a video script. Now, it's got a pretty good writing style here. You may want to change it a little bit once you copy and paste it. So that's something that you've got to consider. Once it finishes beautifying, I'm going to paste it in Claude. Okay, so it's copied it, and then I'm going to go back to Claude. I'm going to add a writing style. I'm going to paste some text in here. I'm going to paste it there. And now make sure that this is actually, sounds interesting and that you want it to be like this. So, go over this, make sure that this is a good writing style that you want, because the foundation is key. So create style. It's going to go ahead and analyze the writing. So here, it's created pretty much a custom style, and I'll just click edit with Claude. And you can ask Claude to edit this writing style, to change anything, because this is basically craft analytical, investigative narrative. Oh, that's a hard word. Narratives with intellectual depth and systematic exploration. So that's interesting. That's more of an analytical approach. You can do, okay, that's great. You can do, it's even got presets here, a little more intellectual or a little less investigative, and then you're good to go. So it's got some options. You can rename the style. So let's just call this let me know style, just because I know that was taken from let me know script as an example. So I'll hit check mark. Great, I can hit the back button and it's got the let me know style here. So what you could do is do this for all of the ones that you've already done. Maybe in the future you find more, you can definitely do that as well. So before I add my prompt, I can select let me know as the style, and then, then we get into the prompts, and this is where things get interesting. So for the of my script, I first want to get an outline to make sure that Claude is going to talk about the topics that I want it to talk about in the video. So I do have to have a little bit of knowledge about the topic. It doesn't have to be a lot. My basic knowledge here is, so I'm going to be covering the 9/11 event here in a documentary format, and I know that there was a lot of planning for this event to happen and this tragedy. The day of, there's a lot of stuff that happened for obvious reasons. And then afterwards, I also know that there's a lot of conspiracies that roll around about what happened and what the government was truly thinking, and lots of ideas out there of different perspectives and what people think. So with that, I've kind of given a bit of context here into Claude as to what I'm expecting in this script outline before I even get to the scripting process. So, for example, I need a script outline about the 9/11 event where the airplanes crashed into the Twin Towers. My goal later would be to write a script that optimizes for audience retention and keeps my viewers interesting, or keeps my viewers interested in the events that happened that day, with detailed information about how everything appeared, or how everything happened, and from a very story-driven way. Now, keep in mind, I'm using the let me know writing style, which is analytical and deep like that. And so your writing style may change. You may want to have a different writing style. So be sure to keep the writing style the way you want it to in the template presets over here. So for this outline, I would like you to write, I would like to include what happened before the day of the incident, what the planning phase looked like from the terrorist's perspective, and all the way through the entire event up to what some of the conspiracies are today. This is going to be a long documentary covering as much information about the 9/11 tragedy, what happened before, and what is still happening after with the different conspiracies. I expect a detailed and well thought out outline. So, pretty good start. Let's go ahead and hit enter and see what Claude provides based on all the information that I've given and the expectations that I have for it. So it's going to generate an outline here, which looks really good so far. So I'm going to scroll to the top here. The day that changed everything, part one, the road to September 11. Historical context, it's got dates, war, the rise of militant groups, Al Qaeda, First World Trade Center bombing, interesting. The planning phase, origins of the plot. Oh, this is a very good outline. Okay. Part two, September 11th. Okay, so it's just dividing into, I'm going to guess, three parts, the before, during, and after. So the morning, the attacks unfolded. It's even got times. This is really detailed and awesome. The days after, search and rescue, national response. Okay, it's going to do more. So part four, long-term impact, policy changes, social impact, health effects. Number five, conspiracy theories and debates, major conspiracy claims. This is one I'm interested in. Controlled demolition theory. Okay, I don't think I've heard that one, but I'm going to assume that the idea is that the government planned it to get rid of the towers, maybe? I'm just reading between the lines at this point. The Pentagon attack questions, Flight 93 theories, advanced knowledge claims. Oh, yeah, that's actually pretty interesting. Official investigations. Oh, okay, that's going to be interesting. Legacy and memory. We might not want to include that. Maybe, it depends on what you want to do, but memorial and museum. One thing is I just want to try and avoid boring the audience towards the end of the video, so this might not be what I want to cover. Conclusion, production notes. So what I would say is I want to remove this because I want to keep the script somewhat interesting. I really love this. The one thing I wanted to remove from the outline is the part 6 and conclusion, which is the stuff here that I've spoke about, simply because I want to avoid boring the audience. So, okay, so I've kind of refined the outline here. I told it I wanted to keep 1 through 5. I also wanted it, and then it gave this response, which is good. It's a good kind of bird's eye view of the outline, but I said provide it like you did the full um, document, like you did the first two responses. So it did that. It looks like it's taken out part 6, which is awesome. And this is the transcript, or the script outline, I should say, that I want to keep. So I'm going to select all of this. The one reason why I copy it like this instead of clicking the copy button on the bottom right is because this way it also copies the formatting of the titles and things like that. So now that I have that, I can choose to continue doing this in the same conversation, but sometimes, especially with the free version, there's only a certain, I guess, size that you can have this conversation to be. So what I'm going to do is go back to my documentary channel template. This has got all the information. Let me know writing style. I'm going to paste it in here, or actually what I'm going to do is I'm going to give it the prompt first and then paste the transcript, the outline later. So what I'm going to do is now craft the prompt to get started on the scripting process here. All right, so what I've done here is taken a moment to write an entire script template, which I will provide to you in the description below as a free download. So feel free to, check that out and get access to it. But what I've done here is given it context, I'm going to give it a prompt and give it a goal. So what I'm doing here is I have attached a very detailed outline of my script for the 9/11 tragedy with the airplane crashes. This is going to dictate what the official script for my video will be, and I would like the script to be detailed and analytical. I would like for you to take a look at some of the sample transcripts from my project knowledge, which is right over here on the right, and also my writing style, which is over here, and have that heavily influence the style of my script. Don't copy any of the information. I simply want to adopt the writing and storytelling into my own script. So I'm also giving it an example of what I want to write like. The intro of this documentary script needs to be highly optimized for audience retention and interesting, and tease some of the major interest points in the beginning to get my audience interested and ready to watch the whole video. It needs to include curiosity hooks, open loops, and other writing psychology tricks to keep my audience glued to the screen. So I'm also telling it that I want this to be interesting, and even included some of the terminologies that it should understand on what to write and how to write it. The script needs to be optimized for audience retention. So now I'm talking about the body of the script, not just the hook and intro. It needs to be optimized for audience retention, having curiosity hooks and open loops throughout to keep my audience interested so they keep watching the video to learn more or fill in the gap that they have to know the answer to their questions. And the last thing, do not limit your response to any character limits. I expect this to take multiple, I should actually say follow-ups, to finish the entire script. So I'm going to paste my outline here. So I'm just going to hold Shift and Enter. I'm going to paste it in there. What I'm going to do is right above that, I'm just going to hit outline there, and so that it knows what it is. And then this is awesome. Usually I would also paste an example transcript of what I'm trying to write, but because I have that in my knowledge base, I don't need to do that. So if you don't have a knowledge base and you just want to paste a transcript of, you know, let's say the writing style from here, you could copy the transcript. This is all assuming you haven't set up your knowledge base, and I would just paste it in here and it would do it as an attachment because it's significant sized, but I'm going to take that off because I don't want to confuse it. So what I'm going to do, I've got everything I need here. I'm going to copy this so I can send this to you in a download with the link in the description. Check it out and I'll send it to you. But I'm going to hit enter. And now it's got all the information that it needs to write the script. And by now, this has probably taken about 10 or 15 minutes for me to do. It's taken me a little bit longer just because I'm teaching it and explaining things, but this shouldn't have taken you very long. So now it's writing out the transcript here, or the script. So let's kind of see what it's done here. Fade in, aerial view of New York City skyline, September 10, 2001, sunset at 8:46 a.m. on September 11, 2001. American Airlines Flight 11 struck the North Tower of the World Trade Center. But this story begins long before that moment. It begins with a series of missed warnings, ignored intelligence, and a web of connections that would only become clear in the aftermath of America's darkest day. That's very interesting. So it's already setting up some questions here. Missed warnings. So this is very good writing. Missed warnings, ignored intelligence, and a web of connections that would only become clear after what happened. So now it's saying, like, I'm going to get a lot of context to the story after what happened, and to understand that I need to know what's going to happen. And so, cut to time lapse of New York City awakens. Okay. I mean, sometimes it might give you this, which is great. It's up to you whether you want to do that or not and include that in the script. There's nothing wrong with it. The morning, September 11th, began like any other. Communities poured into Manhattan, giving a bit of backstory. What happened the next 102 minutes would reshape the course of human history. But to understand how we got here, we need to go back. So honestly, I would probably even just take all of this out. This section here, giving a bit of showing how mundane the day is before something crazy happened. Some storytellers might like to keep this. Honestly, I might take this out because I am trying to keep the story going. I don't want it to camp too much. And so I personally, I would take that out. And what I could do is I like this, but take out the, and I'll hit enter. So it's going to basically redo it. I'm assuming that I've gone through the entire first part of the script, and I'll provide more information if I needed to take something out or change something. Right now, I'm optimizing its writing process for the first part of the script because that's going to dictate the following responses. So blah, 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 cut to footage. Across 3 different states, 19 men were executing the final stages of a plan years in the making. Ooh, this is interesting. Right into this. So after America's darkest days, the kind of the hook here, we kind of go into a little bit of the intro. Um, in the pre-dawn hours, while airport security cameras recorded their movements, these men were about to exploit every vulnerability in America's aviation system. Yeesh, this is actually really interesting. So this is great. It even tells you what response it gave and why it did this. And this is the document, which is right here, that it's provided. So let's say I'm happy with this, which I think is a fantastic script. What I'll do is, or actually, if you go to the bottom here, continue with detailed exploration of historical context. This is based off of the outline that you've given it. So what you'll say is click continue or keep going, or you've got to indicate to Claude that you are happy with this and you want to continue with the next part. So it's going to go ahead and write the next part. What I would do is, before doing that, I would click on the document here, copy that script, paste it into my, let's say, Google Docs document. So I have it there, and I'm basically going to continue. And this next part of the document, I'm going to do the same thing, copy this and paste it to the end of the first response. So I'm continuing to build the script. Now, what I'm going to do is, with that in mind, I'm actually going to do that. So I'm going to click on this. I'm just going to click copy, and I'm going to go into Google Docs, paste it here. Then I'll go back to Claude, click on this following document, continue with the detailed breakdown. I'm going to skip that because I don't need to do that. I don't need to copy it. I'm going to copy all of this. By the way, in the previous response, I'm going to take out that because that's not part of the script. Paste that. So now I've got both responses here, essentially creating my script. Then what I'll do is, this is good, keep. So it's going to go ahead and keep going with the rest of the outline that I've given it. Cool, so it's given me that response. I'm only going to copy the script part here, and I'm going to paste that again in my document here. So great, I've got some responses. I'm not going to go through this entire thing in the video just for time's sake, but let's just assume that I've done 10 or 15 responses to get my entire script. I've basically got my entire script written here. You can make a couple changes if you really want to, but what I'm actually going to do is copy all of it, and I'm going to start a new chat here in my documentary channel. So in here, I'm going to paste it. It's going to paste it like a document as my script. And this is the last step that I want to do. Now, this is assuming that, I've had this script. I feel like there could be some chance for making it better. I may or may not use the result of this prompt. So what this prompt is going to be is kind of optimizing the script. So what I'll do is, so what I'm doing here is, attached is my script about 9/11, and I need you to optimize it even more to sound like a human is conveying it to an audience who wants to learn more about the topic. And I need you to use audience psychology tricks to keep them interested. Open loops, curiosity hooks, audience retention tricks are great, to name a few ways to do this. So you can really optimize this prompt to be whatever you like. maybe have some goals, give it some context, and then give it a prompt. And I'm going to hit enter with that script attached. I didn't include limit your response because I'm actually curious to see, or don't limit your response. It may take a few attempts because I'm actually curious to see how it performs with an entire script. And you can do that. One thing you might want to do is if it kind of cuts off or you feel like it's just lacking content because it's trying to limit its response to a certain character limit, or to avoid exceeding a certain character limit, you can have a response here because it looks like it kind of shortened it a little bit. You can have your response here. This response feels short and it feels like you cut out too much information. So let's start again, but avoid restricting your response to character limits. I expect it to take multiple follow-ups to finish the script. You can say that in your response here, and it can continue to help optimize it. So you can choose whether you want to use this or not. So, for example, they say hindsight is 2020, but what if I told you that America's darkest day was just a single morning in September, but a thread that stretched back decades? Okay, kind of interesting. Honestly, I prefer the first response it gave with the first part of the script here, so I like this a bit better. So what you could even do is kind of mesh the two, like take bits from each and combine them. So really, it's up to you how much you want to optimize this script, but I honestly think the first response is great. So I'm gonna keep that as what I have here, and really you've got a fantastic script going for you for your channel. And this is how I have taught my team on how to write scripts for our faceless channels, and it's really going to help you speed up your process. You've already got a script 90-ish 95% of the way done. Obviously you're going to have a manual review to kind of go over it, maybe do some fact checking if it's going to be something like this. You've got to get your facts right. And so that would be something you could do. What you could actually, probably do is you could download this document or just copy it all. You can go to ChatGPT because ChatGPT is really fantastic when it comes to understanding data and providing feedback on data. So I'm going to paste it in here. What I'm going to do is fact check this and tell me if anything isn't accurate. So I'm going to paste it in there. ChatGPT is going to analyze it, and it's going to tell me if there's anything that needs to be changed. And what's nice is I'm using ChatGPT to essentially fact check another AI. This is, before I do a manual review. So then I'll go into the script, check these things that it's telling me to check. And then during my manual review, I'll update that, fix that if I need to. So that's also something that you want to check here. So it's telling me this is correct, this is correct. It's saying that there's one clarification that you want to make. That doesn't necessarily mean the information that was there was wrong, but it's just adding some clarification, which is, I love that. So it's continuing to go through everything. It looks like it's pretty much got a lot of really good, accurate stuff. Minor edits for clarity. I really like that. That's really good. So you can use ChatGPT for the analytical and data analysis of your script to make sure that it's fact checked correctly, because especially if you get something seriously wrong, your audience is going to know, and that's going to break immersion. So this is a very detailed way on writing a script. Overall, this entire process takes me no more than an hour to have a script, from doing the outline all the way to fact checking, manual review, checking it out. Maybe the manual review might take a little bit longer just because if I'm doing a really long script, it might take a bit more time. Regardless, you should have a script in under 2 hours using this process, and it should be optimized for your audience retention so that you can use audience psychology tricks to keep your audience watching through the videos. And that's why I'm able to generate millions of views on my videos too. If you want to learn more about this kind of stuff, I teach some of this stuff, and also give you basically 7 days of free coaching with the link in the description. You can sign up for free, get access to it. It's free for now, so go check it out. You can get 7 days of free coaching with helping to hack audience psychology, how to generate $10,000 plus per month on YouTube, and so much more. If you want to learn more about some of my researching and scripting processes, feel free to check the video out over here before it disappears. It'll show you a bit more in-depth ways on how you can take some of this information